Donald Trump spoke to a joint session of Congress tonight, and it was just the usual lies, divisiveness, and hatred. He laid out a laundry list of lies about all the fraud that Doge is finding after letting Elon Musk get like the weirdest praise and applause from his cult.
To that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. Doge. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
The way those Republican men are looking at Elon Musk at the end of that clip is so culty. Look at the smiles on these guys' faces. They are just in awe of Elon freaking Musk. It is so weird. Also, Trump said that Elon Musk is the head of Doge, which is weird because last week the White House issued a statement that Amy Gleason is the administrator of Doge. There were Democrats in attendance at this address, and for the most part, they sat pretty quietly. They would heckle for sure anytime he was telling lies. They were booing and heckling, but they also were holding up signs the whole night, like this one that Rashida Tlaib was holding that says, "Start by paying your taxes." She held that up while he was talking about the Republican tax plan that they're trying to pass. He claimed that all the Democrats should vote for it, and she held up this sign, so start by paying your taxes, Donald. As Trump was walking in, New Mexico Representative Melanie Stansberry was holding up a sign that said, "This is not normal," and Representative Lance Gooden of Texas ripped it out of her hands. Texas Representative Al Green, he did not stay quiet though. He got up and was screaming at Trump like right from the very beginning. He actually got kicked out. Mike Johnson ordered the sergeant at arms to remove him. And Al Green is a little bit on the older side. He walks with a cane, and they pretty much like dragged his ass out of there.
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the sergeant at arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
This is Representative Green's response when he is asked about what he was yelling that got him kicked out.
What were you shouting to the president?
The president said he had a mandate. And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we've got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people.
Another reporter asked him if yelling at Trump is like the correct way to go about things, and this is how Representative Green responded to that.
It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility against our civility. He is a person who has consistently been used incivility against civility.
Definitely with you there, Representative Green. I mean, even during this speech, Trump was so divisive. He kept pointing at the Democrats, being like, these guys don't like that, and blah, 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 and like just bashing on them. And it is always the right time and place to stand up to a fascist bully. Representative Green also said that he will accept any punishment that comes to him, and he just wants to signal to the American people that he's willing to fight.
I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
He spent a large portion of his address bashing trans people. I'm not going to show a lot of those clips because it's all the same nonsense and hateful language. But I do want to show this one because he keeps telling this story of a cyclist who broke the record by 5 hours. And also in this clip, there's a crazy ad because I watched this on Right Side Broadcasting Network that I want you to see at the end. And Nancy Pelosi's reaction is priceless.
And if you really want to see numbers, just take a look at what happened in the women's boxing, weightlifting, track and field, swimming, or cycling, where a male recently finished a long-distance race 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of a woman for a new record by 5 hours. Broke the record by 5 hours. It's demeaning for women, and it's very bad for our country. We're not going to put up with it any longer.
He's been using that example for a while now, the 5 hours thing, so I decided to look it up. And according to a New York Post article and a Daily Mail article, not really left-wing rags, there was a trans cyclist who won a race by 5 minutes. This Daily Mail article quotes what Trump said in the address with the breaking the record by 5 hours. Then it goes on to say it wasn't immediately clear what race Trump was referring to or if he misspoke when he said a trans athlete won a race by 5 hours. But in 2023, trans cyclist Austin Killips won a race in North Carolina by 5 minutes. I guess 5 minutes doesn't make the same impact as 5 hours does, and they all have to act like trans women are like literally the Hulk and they're just superhuman, or else their whole argument falls apart. Speaking of transphobia, Riley Gaines was there with Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro. And I just want to share a screenshot that shows Riley Gaines and Matt Walsh because it's that ad that was at the end of that last one. And I just want to talk about it for a second. There's so much to unpack in this picture. Not only is that Riley Gaines with Matt Walsh, but the ad is for a anti-woke coffee company. Stay awake, not woke. Visit americacavacoffee.com. Code RSBN to save 10%, blah, blah, blah. And then the picture is Trump looking much younger than he actually is with like the most fake Photoshop of these weird Trump branded coffee bags. And then the little chyron, the ticker at the bottom, it says Trump Defense Secretary Hegseth orders 3,000 troops to southern border. That whole image is just a mishmash of crazy right-wing nonsense. I could do a whole video on every single aspect of that, and I do just want to say framing Pete Hegseth as the Trump Defense Secretary is bonkers. That is the most authoritarian shit. He also went on another lie-filled rant about how his tariffs and his economic destruction is somehow going to be beneficial to the farmers. But then he also said they might have to bear with me for a little bit because obviously everything he's doing is harming farmers. Like U.S. aid, a big portion of the food that we deliver through U.S. aid, it comes from American farmers, and that's all been canceled. Farmers also get grants from the U.S. government, and a lot of those have been canceled. And they get a lot of their product, like seeds and stuff, and equipment, farming equipment, from foreign countries like Canada and Mexico. And now all of those things are going to be tariffed at 25%.
Our new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. Who will now be selling into our home market, the USA, because nobody is going to be able to compete with you. Because those goods that come in from other countries and companies, they're really in a bad position in so many different ways. They're uninspected. They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in, and they hurt our American farmers. The tariffs will go on agricultural product coming into America, and our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. We had that before when I made the deal with China, $50 billion of purchases, and I said, just bear with me, and they did. They did. Probably have to bear with me again, and this will be even better. That was great. The problem with it was that Biden didn't enforce it. He didn't enforce it. $50 billion of purchases. They were doing great, but Biden did not enforce it, and it hurt our farmers. But our farmers are going to have a field day right now. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too.
It's also super weird when he tells them to have fun, because, like, what are you talking about, dude? Everything you've done this far is having negative effects on people, farmers included. Not even just the tariffs, the mass deportations that he's threatening and the actual deportations that are happening are having an effect on farmers. He also talked about how he wants to reclaim the Panama Canal, because he talked about how it was all American workers that built it, and they built it for Americans, not for anybody else. But like 80% of the workers on it were laborers from the West Indies and the Caribbean. Again, migrant labor building something that he wants to take credit for. And at one point, he's like, I'm putting Marco Rubio in charge of that. That way we know who to blame if anything goes wrong.
And we have Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now, we know who to blame if anything goes wrong.
Ouch, little Marco, I bet that one hurt. I imagine he'll be the first cabinet member that gets thrown under the bus. Trump continued his screechings of colonization by saying, we are going to take Greenland one way or another.
Message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. We will keep you safe.
Just perfect with the whole My Pillow ad there at the end, in case it wasn't abundantly clear that this entire thing is just a grift. There's a lot more clips I could show you because he rambled on for a very long time and said a lot of horrendous shit, but that's the gist of it. It's just lies, it's just threats, it's just transphobia, it's hatred of immigrants, and just gaslighting about all the horrible things he's done. And personally, I love that Representative Al Green made a ruckus and got thrown out. Like, obviously all the Democrats didn't do that. They held up signs. A lot of them quietly walked out throughout the entire thing. Like, this is at the end of the speech. You can see on the bottom left side of the screen how empty it is. Democrats were walking out throughout his entire speech. Obviously, they did not show that on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And some Democrats, like one of my senators, Ron Wyden, chose to stay home and host town halls in their district. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the appropriate response to this is, beyond ripping him off of that podium and throwing him in prison, but that's not going to happen. The whole joint address to Congress is performative anyway and doesn't matter at all. So performative responses like yelling at him and holding up signs is, I don't know, I guess a reasonable response. Especially when Democrats are working behind the scenes, working with states to sue the Trump administration to slow down his horrific fascist efforts. Either way, MAGA, Republicans, they're the ones in charge, and that is what we get. That is our address to Congress, a bunch of weirdo grifters and Elon Musk and Donald Trump spewing hate. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Like and subscribe for more political content.